Professor Chris Murphy, so excited to talk a little bit more, dive a little deeper into the creative process. As you spoke with us earlier, you really talked about this concept, very similar to the engineering design process, where we're solving problems. But in this UX, UI, and design work, it seems that we're really solving problems for people. And so we have to put the people first, but yet there are a lot of different preparation steps and which encompasses the person, the client, every step of the way. So can we dive a little deeper into the creative process? Tell me about tools and resources that assist the UX UI experience.
Absolutely. So we've really, like you said, really taken a deep dive into the top level view of like looking at the person, the empathy of the and understanding empathy. And as we get into tools, there are different types of tools that we will use. One of them is Adobe Creative Cloud, specifically Photoshop and Illustrator. Photoshop we use for image editing, Illustrator we use for making graphics. We use a platform called Figma. It's separate. It's out of the Adobe ecosystem. And they have so there's Figma, which is an app to create all those graphics and so on. But FigJam is another program that's used for whiteboarding. That's another part of Figma. And then there's another whiteboarding application out there called Miro. And both of these whiteboarding applications are great for documenting your research and collaborating with others. And again, part of that whole creative process. And I just threw this here together. Basically, Miro, talking about that one first. Again, Miro is a whiteboarding application, and it's a good one to check out. If you go to miro.com/education-whiteboard, you can actually, if you're an educator, you can get a free account with them. So it's definitely worthwhile checking it out. You don't even have to be a UX designer to use it. There's a lot of educators that end up using Miro. Then we have Figma and FigJam. Yeah, it's a great app. Figma and FigJam.
We love free in education. As
No,
educators,
absolutely.
the word free. So we love that. And I don't know of an educator that doesn't use whiteboarding. So what's interesting is we may use whiteboarding in a different context. So tell me more about whiteboarding as you talk about FigJam
Yeah, absolutely.
from a design perspective.
Absolutely. So I don't have an example of the Miro board, but here I can show you what it looks like in FigJam. And also, just a heads up, FigJam, actually not just FigJam, Figma and FigJam are free through figma.com/education. So which is another great resource. Again, if you want to take a dive into this, there is a no cost option for that.
And folks, I'll put all of that in the show notes, just so you know. You don't have to take notes. You'll have it in the show notes. So thank you. Keep going.
No problem. I'm going to skip ahead. I'm going to talk about FigJam first, which is, which is what this is right here. So this is an example of what FigJam could be. This is a user flow created in FigJam, but you can use FigJam for a lot of different things. You could upload images to it, and again, it's a lot of pre-built components that you can. It's meant to be fast. It's meant to be quick. It all has the same kind of look to it. Miro acts the same exact way. Some people use it for project management. There's a lot of different use cases for it. So that would be a much longer talk than I can get into in this conversation, but I highly recommend it, especially since they're free. Go check them out. But just going back a slide here, looking at Figma, again, Figma is that tool that we use to create these applications. It's the tool that we use.
It was used to make these right here, like what
Figma was used to make these apps. That's right. That's awesome. And that is the main tool today that people are doing. There's a company called UX Tools out there that actually does surveys each year of the top tools and trends that are out there. And Figma is without question the leader in that market. It's not even close to anything else. So if you're looking to get into it, start learning Figma.
To myself, just looking at that, if you want to back up to a couple slides here. As a teacher, as an educator, I can have, like, if I'm teaching United States history, I can have my students use a free Figma account to design something that looks kind of similar to what you have on the screen.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You can, what it does is they'll give you your own, basically like your own team account that you can have your students sign up for, which is what I do in my classes.
So just like using Instagram in the classroom, you could use Figma.
Correct.
and allow
And
these students to understand what it's like to use a design tool in the classroom.
absolutely. And then what I'll do too is I will actually have them do some of their presentations through FigJam. So they put like, they'll have their whole process down. They can throw those assets right into FigJam, and then they can go through and present the whole thing. You can even put videos into FigJam. So it's a really good multi-use tool.
Super. Okay, thank you. This is
Oh,
really
you're quite welcome.
that brings the design aspect into everyday classroom and everyday teaching. So, and when we talk
Absolutely.
about design, we're talking about user design and user interface, and they go back and forth. So this is, are we talking about
Yeah. So
experience?
yeah, no, that's okay. Just a second ago, I was mentioning the tools that we use to create and produce those things. But I wanted to also give you some resources to understand and learn more about user experience and user interface, things that could help challenge you and grow you, especially, you're never going to do it justice in however long minutes this webinar has been. It's not enough time to really learn all this. So it will take some more time. So yeah, Don Norman, like the father of the term user experience, has a group called the Nielsen Norman Group, or NNG. And this is a great resource if you're trying to learn user experience. I mean, their videos are just like top notch. They're just very clear. They're very articulate, and they're just considered an industry leader in this area. And if you go to nngroup.com, you can see their work there. Also, they have a great YouTube channel where you can watch a lot of just free content from them. They do have certificate programs that they do sell on the site. So those you would have to pay for those, but a lot of their video content is free, and you can start learning about user flows, journey mapping, all different types of empathy models, empathy mapping, that you can empathy resources that you can really take your UX skills to the next level.
That empathy models. I mean, just the concept of taking empathy to that next level could be so powerful in the classroom. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the next one is this is a great free site out there. It's called the lawsofux.com. And I think this is just interesting for anyone, really. I mean, there's just some really interesting user experience laws that are out there. This is one of the things that we teach students right away. And if, like, for example, this is one of the laws that are there, Miller's Law. The average person can only keep 7 plus or minus 2 items in their working memory, which I think is very true if you really start talking to people.
And it's so important for educators to know this.
Yeah.
So if
absolutely
the classroom is super distractible, that might be that they might need Miller's Law to help them design their space a little bit better.
Oh, absolutely. And I think about myself when I'm teaching in the classroom. I apply this all the time. I realize that if I have a 2-hour class and I'm a project-based teaching environment where it's about doing more than it is about me necessarily lecturing, I give maybe a 20 to 30-minute lecture, and then we put all that into practice, because I know, and I only highlight a few things that we really need to focus on, because I use it as a gateway to get them to understand those few things. And then I can add a few more items to it, and then a few more items to it. But if I add all of it at the same time, they'll never comprehend it. I mean, most people can't. And so Miller's Law is incredible. Oh yeah, it's a lot. So this is a really good one.
That's also why I would think that when you see a good website, it, and it's probably has to do with some of these laws where it's not too distractible, right?
100%. That is absolutely right. Like, for example, this one, serial position effect. Users have the propensity to best remember the first and last item in a series. So one of the biggest keys to this one is a navigation bar. I think about this law all the time when I'm doing a navigation bar, because you always want to put like the most important item first, and the second most important, or maybe the top 2 most priority items at the beginning and at the end. Everything in the middle, people generally will forget. So that's another one that you always tend to do. Or even if I'm having students present, I will put the strongest presentation in the front and another strong presentation to finish it up. And I mean, that's a really simple model to do that, but I do that because people won't remember the middle part as much, but they will remember the beginning and the end as they leave.
Wow. So I'm almost interested in, like, if we put on, because we put on TEDx GCU and we have so many TED Talks, I wonder if our team needs to know, put the two strongest TED Talks at the beginning and at the end. Is
Right.
that
Start strong, end strong. Yeah.
fantastic? And but this is like for navigation bars. This is incredible. Yes, we need more time, but
Absolutely. And so there's so many more of these out there, but I just want to take a couple and show them. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about UI resources. So how do you make that site have great user experience through the user interface design that you're working on for them? This is an amazing site. I've been using this for years. I've been recommending students go to this if they're trying to improve their skills. A lot of times students will say, I know we're heading into the summer. I tend to take a lapse in my design. If I don't have an internship, I tend to take a lapse. And when I'm working on something, I'm like, go to dailyui.co.co. That's not a misprint. It's .co.
got it.
It's fantastic. You submit your email address and they send you 100 little mini projects in your email every single day. So these are meant to be like bite-sized projects that you can work on. So for example, this site here called collectui.com, maybe you can see all the different projects that they'll send you. One of them might be creating a simple sign-up form, or a landing page, a calculator, an app icon. And these are just different skills that you can work on to better improve. And I usually tell students, don't do this during the school year. You got too many projects going on. Do this when you have downtime, and also don't beat yourself up if you get one project done a week. That's great. You don't have to do all 100, but doing these little bite-sized exercises will really help you.
So it's like practicing your
It
art,
is.
like you would practice in the gym. Thank you.
It is practicing. Absolutely. There's nothing in life that you can just learn right away and you necessarily can just do it. Like I certainly can hit a baseball. I learned a long time ago to do that. However, I cannot go into Yankee Stadium and hit a home run off of a major league pitcher. Just because I know it doesn't mean I can actually do it. And it's the only way those players are doing what they're doing is through intensive practice year in and year out. And that's the same thing with what we do too, and then the last thing I want to talk about is inspiration. Where do you find some of these amazing designs that are out there, and how does it help you in what help you influence in what you're trying to accomplish in your own work? And we don't want to copy, but what we want to do is we want to be inspired by and allow that to influence us in terms of the next thing that we do. And there's a great plugin for any browser, whether it's Chrome, Safari, Edge, whatever you're using. It's called Musely. It's MUZ.li. Again, it's not a misprint. It's .li. So it's MUZ.li. I've been using this for years. Every time I open up a new tab, it looks like this. It shows me curated work across the internet of really inspirational, beautiful designs that are out there. And so this is a screenshot from the other day that I took. It just happens to be, but you can also have inspiration for technology. You can have different types that let you filter out what kind of inspiration you can have. But for me, I'll get students that will say to me, how do you find some of these websites? And I'm just like, oh, like they say, it's the designer's secret source. It really is, because I don't have the ability to go spend my time looking up different types of websites to take a look at. And this has just been a great resource. So I highly recommend that for people. Why look at a page that just has a Google search bar in it when you can type a search into your browser anyway? You might as well go to something you can look at beautiful things every time you open up a new tab.
I love that idea. And this just allows teachers to really start to think about how they're designing their flipped classroom, so their digital classroom, as well as their physical classroom. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And then just to recap it, just design in general is all about process, right? I mean, so much of that is in the processes allow us to take an art form that can be subjective and turn it and make it objective, which is what our goal is always, is to have an objective reason why we're doing something. We just don't do it by accident. And again, through that process, one of the major elements of that process is actually empathy. We have to understand who we're targeting, who the user is. That's incredibly important. And all of that empathy really helps us to define the user experience and the user interface design and how that's going to help the user ultimately at the end of the day.
Wow, fantastic. I tell you what, Professor Murphy, this has been an incredible just sneak peek into the creative process, something that you do every day. I heard so many wonderful tools in this particular presentation, not least of which is empathy. I think you've really drilled that in, which is fantastic. So some of our folks who don't know UX, UI, now they know it. User interface, user design, user experience, excuse me, user interface, user experience is created from excellent design, starts with the person. I heard Miller's Law. I'm going to keep that one. Thank you for that takeaway, making sure that my memory serves me well. And I can't wait to check out Musely. That's pretty amazing just to have design at my fingertips. I want to thank you so much for being with us and for sharing your expertise. I can't wait to see many more students come to GCU's College of Arts and Media and take your design classes, because I know I want to. And I really appreciate, we do not do this lightly. We are here to empower, educate, and inspire you, our community, so you take action to fulfill your purpose and to serve one another. That is GCU's motto as well. Find your purpose. And we appreciate you very much for being a part of this design experience. Please subscribe for more professional development and more things that are coming out of the College of Arts and Media, like technical theater programming, stock scenery videos. We're going to do a great series at the College of Arts and Media just right here in design, because we need to have Professor Murphy back and tell us even more. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you very much, Professor Murphy, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.